Hello, everyone. You're all very welcome to Underground Cinema. We're just over a week. What day today? Today's the 3rd of November. So we're 12 days away from the 16th Underground Cinema Film Awards. We're all really excited about it this year, and I've been interviewing as many nominees as I possibly can before the big night. I'm delighted to say that I've got with me today. I've got Liam Hall Walshe. He directed a super short film called "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants," and he's also been nominated for probably one of the best awards you can be nominated for, and that's the Rising Star Award. Congratulations, Liam, and well done. Great to have you with me today.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Thanks, much appreciated, and thanks for the kind words about the film.
Not at
It
all.
means a lot.
Well, look, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. It's a great piece of filmmaking. Um, and is this your first short, is it, that you've directed?
Yeah, yeah. This is my first short that I produced, I wrote, and directed, and I did the triple threat, the evil triad, the triad of horror. When you're doing a no
Yeah,
budget to do them all at the same time, it's quite arduous, but it's very rewarding in the sense that you're learning a lot, you're learning constantly, and you're constantly being faced with challenges. But yeah, it was very fulfilling, and I'm very happy that we were able to pull it off.
yeah. This story is about family expectations, identity, the pressure of legacy through the world of boxing. Can you tell those that haven't seen the film what it's all about?
Yeah, it's essentially about an up and coming boxing prospect. Her name is Becky, and she's not really sure where her place in the world is. She's been kind of, well, her father's dreams and ambitions in life have been projected onto her, and she has all this talent, but she's not really sure what her purpose is. She's been told what her purpose is her whole life, but she's never actually explored it herself. So the film is kind of coming of age in a very subtle way, and it's about family dynamics. It's about how parents can sometimes project their dreams onto their children, and it's kind of Becky's exploration of how she can kind of get out of that kind of chain. So that's it very simply. I suppose there's other things
Yeah.
going on in the film, but I think that would be the blurb of it.
Yeah. I think that's a fair synopsis on the film. And you got your two central characters here. They're great actors. You got Jennifer Kilmurray and Johnny O'Callaghan. Two really good, strong performances. They work really well together. There's a good chemistry between them on the screen. How did you go about the casting process for this one, then?
It's very interesting. Two very interesting stories. So I was doing Terry McMahon's acting course 3 years ago, and me and Johnny were in it together. And I really liked Johnny's work as an actor, and I saw it in real time when we were doing the course. And I thought he'd be really good for this. So I kind of sent it to him and just felt, well, what does he say? See what he says. And he got back to me fairly quickly. He read it and he really identified with the character and the story. And he said he wanted to be able to do it. And I was like, 100% great. I was doing training. I was in theatre and education at the time in Spain, so I was on a little bit of a tour for 6 months. So I said to Johnny, "Look, I'm on this tour, so when I come back, if you're around, we'll do the film." And Johnny was like, "Yeah, 100%. Just tell me when exactly, because I have to book flights." And I was like, "What do you mean book flights?" And he was like, "Well, I live in Los Angeles. I live in Hollywood Hills. So whenever you want to do the film, just let me know so I can book the flights to come over." And at that stage, I was thinking, well, have I got? Is he getting the wrong idea of what this film is? Because this is a no budget, we made this on a whim and a prayer sort deal. And I thought maybe, oh, he's getting the wrong idea of what this is. So I was like, oh no, Johnny, look, we don't have any budget whatsoever. And he got it. And he was like, no, 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 that's okay. I'll come and just tell me the dates. I'll come, do the film, and go home. And it was that simple. He came. We had 4 shooting days. He did his bit Saturday and Sunday. I flew home. It's that simple. And so he's had a
Wow.
very good career. He's had a one man show on Broadway. He's been in a few sci-fi TV shows in Los Angeles. He's had a pretty good career, and he retrained in later life. But I didn't realize how established he was before I had asked him to do it. So that was a mad kind of weird kind of thing. It's like, oh, this guy is coming from Los Angeles to do this no budget film that we're shooting in the middle of nowhere in Westmeath, basically in my parents' house, shooting in a boxing gym that barely has a functioning toilet. I look at the toilet and I look over at him, and his neighbor is Justin Timberlake in Hollywood Hills, and I must be thinking, oh my god, what must he be thinking? So that was an amazing process, but like he was amazing, and you could see straight away the levels. I've been around lots of acting, seen lots of acting, but seeing him elevate the words I'd written was a profound experience. But what was even more kind of profound in a sense was the fact that I had met Jennifer Kilmurray in December of 2022, and we were both extras in Fair City. And we just had connected over the course of that day. And she kind of had the look I had kind of imagined for the character. And so I kind of had said to her, I have this role, and she was fairly inexperienced as an actor at the time. She was only kind of finding her feet. But I thought I'd give her a go because I really connected with her, and she sent me a self tape in, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is the one. There's no need for me to look any further. I kind of found it, both of them very serendipitously, and I really think Jennifer rose to the challenge. I think she was a bit intimidated by Johnny at first because of his experience and her lack of experience, but I really feel like certain people, if they tap into something and they're being faced with not an obstruction but with a challenge that may seem insurmountable, the very nature of being against that challenge sometimes brings something out of us that we rise to the challenge. So I think that happened with Jen, and she had some really strong bits in the film, and I think she could be really proud of the work. They can both be really proud of the work, but particularly Jen, given her background. I thought she did really well.
Yeah, I think both of them did really well. The title of the film was very appropriate as well, especially after you telling me that story. What's your approach as a first-time director? Did you rehearse with these guys? Did you workshop with these guys, or was it all done on the day? What's your style?
Yeah, so it was written in 2022, late 2022. I was one of these frequenters of the IFI. I was working as an extra at the time, and that was my only source of income. And I was fully committed to trying to work in the industry in some capacity. So when I wasn't on these sets as an extra, I was going into Dublin, and I'm from Westmeath. I'm from the countryside. I was going into Dublin just writing in the IFI, and I would do that most days of a week. And so that the process of writing, it was pretty quick. It all came together quite quickly, and it only had maybe 4 or 5 drafts before I was quite happy with it. I got loads of feedback on it from different writers that I know personally. In terms of the directing and the rehearsing and all that sort of thing, because of the geographical limitations of him being in Los Angeles and I suppose the rest of us being in Dublin, it was lots of Zoom stuff. So we did 3 or 4 rehearsals via Zoom, and I suppose from memory it was about 2 years ago now. So I don't remember too much input from me. I think they got the idea for the characters pretty early on. I had conversations with them individually before we did any of these rehearsals, and I kind of expressed what I expected of them, or what I'd like, and I was interested to see how they'd interpret it and make it their own. And they very much did in different ways. I suppose if you're talking about style, I subscribe to the idea that as a director, I'm just a facilitator, and the actor is the creative artist. The actor has the potential to show you something that you didn't at first fathom in your interpretation of the material. So I'm very laissez-faire with regards to that. I have an idea of what I want. I have an image. I have some sort of conception of what I want, but I know that the reality and the probability that I'll match that reality is it's a little bit far-fetched trying to match what is in your head 100%. So once you reconcile that, you kind of decide, right, okay, well, this is a collaborative effort, and you kind of trust the people that you've put in those positions to try get it as close to whatever's in your head as possible, but also accepting that whatever's in your head does not have to be the be all end all, because the unbelievable potential of the actor is that they can show you something that can elevate or go beyond what was the conception of what you had in your head. So I think allowing actors to act and be creative artists is something that I am definitely a champion of.
Very good. It's a good approach. Some directors would be very tunnel visioned, very blinkered, would have a very blinkered approach, and and that could work well because they know exactly what they want. They have it storyboarded in their head from start to finish. There are other
Yeah,
directors as well that are interested in when you're working with very high caliber actors, which you had. It's very good to listen to, to see, to I think as a director myself, I've workshopped and rehearsed an awful lot, and you get I'm a theater director, so you get an awful lot out of a rehearsal. You can get so many different things can pop up during a rehearsal or a conversation with an actor, or if you let an actor. I'm not saying run free. At the end of the day, you're the director. You have the final call, but if you do let an actor, as you say, express himself, there could be it's magic sometimes, and I think that's what's happened here because the chemistry between both actors in this film, they really are son and or sorry, daughter and father. You're convinced that they're related. They're not coming across as actors. They're working really well together. Um, you wrote and you directed and you produced. I mean, that's three hats that you were wearing. What were the challenges? What were the biggest challenges for you there? Because as I said, this was the first time, so that's not easy to do all three.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're when you're doing something no budget and you're wearing all these hats, there are going to be things that you oversights, and um, it's very challenging, and it's something that I definitely, if I would were to do it again, I've learned a lot from the process. But I think it's you're always in a race against time, and you're always looking for more time. And once you say, well, these are our 4 days, and Johnny's only here for 2 days, he has to go home. That's even a bigger challenge. And people are doing it, pro bono. So you have to be when someone's doing it as a favor to you, or because you've done
Yeah,
something for them, they're giving back to you. You still have to be empathetic and compassionate with their time, and not to overwork them, not to overstress them, and you're captaining that ship. And I feel like a film is your actors, your DOP, your sound up, they're your crew, and if you start to be overly ambitious, or you know be overly indulgent with things, things are going to the crew's going to get a little bit frustrated with you, especially when they're doing things pro bono. So we didn't have too much of that, but the time limitations definitely made us. You have to think on your feet. You have to change things in real time, and maybe what you wanted 100% in your head is not reality, but
yeah. It's a balancing act, really, isn't it? You're dealing with lots of different personalities as a producer, um, so I understand exactly what you mean about
because
not
you have
trying to
4 hours of
overstep.
sunlight left and you have a certain amount of scenes to shoot. I think we dropped there for a second. But yeah, that's it really. It is challenging. No budget filmmaking is challenging, and but it is very fortuitous in the reality of you will learn a lot, because you're testing your boundaries of where your competence lies in these different facets, and they're being strained, and you either rise to the occasion or you crumble under pressure.
Yeah,
And I feel like we were able to have a completed product, a completed piece of work, and I'm definitely proud of that. But I will definitely learn from the experiences going forward.
yeah. Were there any stages during, during the shoot that you felt it was a particular moment that stood out really well for you during the shoot?
Yeah. So we there was a worry because we shot it because of the nature of only having the lead actor Johnny for 2 days of the four. We had to shoot it, you know, not in a linear way. We had to shoot different sections of it at different times. So there's a scene in the movie where Johnny is picking up keys and he's going to check on a girl after she's had a fight with Jen, and then Jen, has an action, throws something, and then we cut into another scene that's on the same day, but it's a slightly different lighting setup. But because of the way we had to organize the shoot, half of the scene was shot 1 week, and the other half was shot the other week. So there was a worry that the lighting was going to match up, or there was a bit of a paranoia there that if we shot these within a week of each other, they're going to look completely different. Even though it was all artificial light and the windows were blacked out, there was just a bit of paranoia with me, with the DOP particularly. And very simply, there's a scene where there's a sort of a ghost from Jen's past has an emotional moment with her, and because of how we scheduled it, we were able to let that breathe, and we were able to give them time to really just sit in that kind of scene and just let everything come out and let all the emotions naturally sit there, and we were able to let them act and really let them play. And that was a moment where I think when they finished and this, we were happy, we were content, we looked at the two of them, and the whole crew just put everything down and just started applauding them, because you could just feel the tangible energy in the room that they had done something special, and that scene just had a really pure energy to it.
That's fantastic, and very gallant of the crew to applaud them for the performance. That's something that will stay with you, and indeed the rest of the cast and crew, for a long time. You're the co-founder of the Westmead Filmmakers Collective, which is in the Midlands. I'm not from the Midlands, but I now live in the Midlands. I live in Longford. I'm only up the road from you. Can you tell us? Yeah, I'm only half an hour away. But can you tell me a little bit about the Westmead Filmmakers Collective and what's it all about? What you guys are trying to do?
So that was a group that came together 3 years ago, and we sort of organized lots of different networking events and screenings, because one thing I realized as I was beginning my journey in film, that there was so much talent just in my locality that I wasn't aware of, because these people they're not promoting themselves locally, and also there's no function, there was no area, there was no kind of format for them to be able to express themselves. There wasn't a meetup, there wasn't a platform for them to come together. Like in Dublin there's DFM, and I know that in Galway they have things of that nature, and other parts of the country, Cork, they have weekly, monthly meetup groups. But there's nothing in the Midlands. Very little filmmaking kind of collaboration. So I suppose I intended to put something together that would unite people, and like DFM do, have reoccurring meetings and make things. Maybe have a festival, definitely have screenings. But the screenings were quite powerful when we had them, because some of these people hadn't seen their films in years. Some of these people were never given the opportunity to screen their films locally, and some of these films were forgotten about in film festivals or never saw a festival release, so they never had a live audience screening. So to be able to give people that kind of platform for them to be able to have these special moments, and they were very special for people at the time, was very rewarding. And I suppose that experience of facilitating grassroots film at different levels kind of led me to get involved with Kino. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kino, but
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing great stuff with Kino. We had a Kino in Mullingar last year, And one of the films was made by a first-time filmmaker called Siobhan Moore, who's a dancer. She'd never done anything in film, never even acted on film before. She's in our film, ironically, Standing the Show Giants. She plays the mother. She made a film, and it actually won or co-won the Westport Film Festival. And it was the first time, kind of, spur of the moment type thing. The day before, she rang me and she's like, "Oh, you have this keynote thing. I'm not sure if I want to go to it." And I just said, "Go and experiment, try something." And she's made this film that will be with her forever. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in the further investment in grassroots film, grassroots screen acting, anything of that nature, because it's you know it's appallingly underrepresented at a national level. But I mean, we can have that conversation for a long time, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about something similar to what underground cinema did back in the day. So, I mean, underground cinema was started off 16 years ago. The idea behind it was to promote independent Irish film. At that time, there were very few places to showcase your film, and
Mm.
it's very similar to what you're talking about. A lot of act. It started when I was directing the show in Dunleary. It was a rather big cast. It was called Judgment at Nuremberg. It was an Irish premiere. There's a lot of people in the cast. One of our guys came down to rehearsals late. I asked him, where he was, and he told me he'd been working on a short film for IADT. He
Mm.
explained the film to me, what it was all about, and I asked him, when are we going to get to see it? And he said, you might get to see it if it gets into Galway, or if it gets into Kerry, or if. And I said, my God, all this work, and this film's an if. You may not get into a festival. So it was that night, actually, I decided that I'm going to start showcasing these films. So we started off in Dunleary, and it just sort of roller coasted from there on. So there's definitely, and we toured with underground cinema. We used to go to different counties like Cork. We went over to London. We brought the shows over to the UK. So there's definitely an audience, for it takes a
Definitely,
little bit of time to get it up and running, but
yeah.
once
Mm.
it is, it's fantastic. So if you ever need to pop down to Westmead or anything like that, I'm only down the road. Let me
Definitely.
know.
Yeah, and like I'm running Kino at the moment. I suppose Kino D, which is the Dublin portion of it, is
Yeah,
we ran 3 or 4 successful events this year, and this year we actually got funded by Film Offline, and we did Kino at Offline Film Festival. So there used to be a
yeah,
film challenge at Offline, and I met
yeah,
the lads from Offline during the spring, and I was asking would they be interested in doing something, and then we ended up doing a Kino at the Offline, which was amazing. So I definitely think looking forward to next year. There's a lot of scope for doing Kino in other counties, underrepresented counties,
yeah,
counties that don't get any sort of very little film representation. But the Dublin one is difficult to do because the expense in Dublin is just it's
yeah,
ridiculous. It's not
yeah,
sustainable without any sort of funding streams or any sort of grants. It's very difficult to do. It puts a lot of pressure on us because then we have a very high margin and you have to sell tickets and you don't want to increase the price of tickets because it's supposed to be a grassroots event and you know, it's supposed to be advantageous for people who've never made a film before or who are only starting. You don't want to be charging €50 and pricing people out, but that's how Dublin's gone. It's just these venues are, it's just
yeah.
that's the difficulty.
I get it. So now that you've done your first short, have you got something in the pipeline? Or are you itching to get back into the director seat again?
Yeah. Uh, I suppose I'm working on stuff at the moment. So I mean, the way I look at it now, it's kind of I have two kind of lenses in how I view what I do. So all the stuff I do at Kino is great, and these films, this film was so meaningful, fulfilling to me. At the moment, I'm working with Diff in a fantastic program called Future Pioneers. So we did it at the festival in February this year, where I worked with two youth groups who never made a film before, and we made two shorts over the course of a day. They both screened at Dublin International Film Festival. So over the past 3 months, I've been meeting with one of the same youth groups and a different youth group, and we've been basically working on 2 new shorts. And we had Brenton Canty from Christie come in yesterday, and him and I delivered a workshop on filmmaking. He looked more at music videos. So we're going to make an original music video with the group we already worked with this year at the festival next year. And then we're going to make a whole new original short with a different group. Both the music video and the short film will be premiering at the DIFF next year. So that's some producer work I'm doing at the moment. But in terms of writing and directing, yeah, I do. I definitely want to make something. As you know, like when you're doing things like this, there's such an expense. So there are ideas, there are scripts I've written. I think for me, it's just about timing. Timing is so important. And there's a film there I've had kind of I've had pre-produced for a while. I have all the cast and crew. It's just a matter of when the right time aligns. And the right time is for various different reasons. But yeah, there's something I have, and it explores, I suppose, the pandemic and a kind of interesting moral conundrum within the pandemic around the vaccine passports, but it's done in a very subtle, non-propagandizing way. It's a very kind of it doesn't take sides. It's a very kind of visual, subtle type movie. So I have that written. I think I'm going to do a few more drafts on it. But I think if I make something, write and direct something, produce something, it'll probably be that, because it's. I think, I interviewed Terry McMahon. Terry McMahon would be a big inspiration to me, and I think he would always say to me that make a film not because you want to make it, because you have to make it. If there's material that makes you feel uncomfortable because you're not sure how you feel about, whether certain things are right or wrong, or if there's a bit of moral ambiguity around it, then that's the sort of material you should explore or interrogate, as he would say. And I feel like that's the type of thing I'm kind of looking at, something that I'm not sure of, that I want to explore, that I want to dig deeper into. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do next in terms of writing, producing, or directing something. It's a little film called Jack the Lad. So, yeah.
Cool. That's good advice from Terry, one of the best.
Yeah.
Liam, listen, I've really enjoyed chatting with you tonight. As I said, congratulations on a nomination for Rising Star. It's a great nod. It's a great recognition of your work. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to have in the pipeline for us pretty soon.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words about the film. Really appreciate it.
Not at all, Liam. Not at all. Take care now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.